everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with the bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my partner, Jessica.
So today's video is all about those surprise babies, those whoopsies, I'm pregnant, in romance.
I'm glad you clarified, because the woman is not surprised when the baby's there.
No, but this is obviously, we've said this a million times, this is different than Secret Baby, which is where they keep the child secret. This is typically in the book they find out that they're pregnant and it's unplanned, and then they have to work things out. So
yeah, this is not like that TLC show about like, oops, I didn't know I was pregnant. And then they give birth in like a gas station bathroom.
Yeah.
There were times in all three of my pregnancies that I was so miserable. Like, how could you not know? Like, and if you didn't, that is one sweet pregnancy. Like, to not have all of those things happening.
Yeah. First of all, you're sick in the beginning. Like, sick daily in the bathroom. Yakking it up.
I threw up over like 500 times when I was pregnant with my last kid.
Multiple
I did with
times all 3
every morning.
I did with 3, especially my first one. Even on all 3 of them on the operating table with my C-sections, I was still puking like every single day. Just did not stop.
I pulled muscles in my throat, which I didn't know were possible from how much I threw up with him.
Yeah. And did you get the petechia? Because I had that where it looked like somebody had just beat me because it was.
They put me on medication because it was so bad that they were afraid for the baby at the time. We didn't know it was a boy, the baby's well-being, that I had to take medication to try and control some of the nausea and throwing up, which it was also used like in some European countries as a sleep aid. So that was fun.
But that was great. I didn't get any of that. I did get the heartburn in the beginning, not in the end.
We've gone off the rails.
We have.
Okay.
Anyhow, so let's talk about some book recs.
Yes.
With some babies.
And if people are watching that don't have babies yet, they're like, oh dear.
Never.
Does not sound fun.
When the baby gets here, you forget all about it, and then you get pregnant again, and then you're like, what the heck did I just do? So, it's all good, because then you remember. But
I don't know. I know somebody who had some really serious tearing.
Oh, I had C-sections. I didn't worry about that.
And they had to have stitches and everything, and they still have some pretty vivid memories.
All I know is by the time I had my 3rd and I knew I had to walk in for the C-section, I was crying to my husband that maybe he should be doing it now. It was on the day she was born. I was like, I don't want to do this again. Because I just forgot about it. Okay, ready for the first rec? Okay.
I'm always ready for your first recommendation, Jessica.
Okay. So my first recommendation is a Devney Perry book. Are you surprised? No? Okay. So this is Sunlight by Devney Perry. This is about Sasha and Jax. This is the 2nd book in her Haven River Ranch series. This is, you can read them as a standalone. I liked the first one a lot, and then I just liked this one, but I did like this one enough to recommend it to you guys. So this is about Sasha. She is at the ranch. She's working for Enya, who is the main character from the first book, and Enya's pregnant, and she's there to help relieve some of the stuff. She and Jax do not get along. They hate each other for whatever reason. They do not get along. Jax he works there on the ranch. He's one of the brothers that originally owned the ranch, and he is a total playboy, and he is technically her boss. And so there's that. So one night, there's a little bit too much drinking that happens that leads to a baby, and then they have to figure out how to get along for the sake of that baby. So, typical trope.
I feel like other things happen, not just the drinking that led to the baby, but okay.
The drinking led to the decision making that had the consequence of a baby. Okay.
All right. My first one is Sometimes You Fall by Harlow James. And this does have audio done by Samantha Brentmore and Sebastian York. So we have Grady. Grady was a baseball player. He was at the top of his game, and he had an injury, and his career was over, and he is struggling a little bit with that. So he's returned to his hometown and working in an auto shop. And one night, Scotty, who he knows from before, shows up in town. They have a one night stand. Scotty has an older son, and she's just there visiting like her family. And they have a one night stand. She leaves and then finds out she is pregnant. So she comes back to the town, lets him know, and Grady is determined to be there for her and their unborn kiddo. And I just really love this story. And I've talked about this before, but in this, she's, experiences all those hormones, and he goes and buys her popsicles and comes back, and she's upset because she wanted the popsicles with 2 sticks. So he goes back to get her the popsicles with 2 sticks.
Which is good, because I have a feeling that Jeff would have looked at me like I was nuts and it would have been like, just eat the damn popsicle.
And that is the difference between being married and not being married.
That is the difference between fiction and reality.
That's probably more accurate.
Yeah. Although I have cried over orange popsicles that have gotten eaten by the kids when I wanted orange popsicles. So,
but that was last week, not because you were pregnant.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so they know the orange ones are mine. Okay, so the next book that I have, I know you don't do citrus, is one that I just read this week. The book just came out like a couple of days ago, and that is Read by BJ Alpha. This is the 4th book in her Storm Enterprise series. You can read this as a standalone. I think you get more enjoyment if you read them all across, the first 4 together. But I do think that you can read this as a standalone because it's not. You just can't. Okay, so this is about Gia. I just can't. So this is about Gia and Reed. Reed he owns Storm Enterprises with his buddies. He does not like kids. He does not like germs at all. He's been trying to buy this plot of land in the city for quite a while. He is working with this guy trying to buy it from this horrible dude, and things are not going his way. And so one night, he's a lawyer, and one night he's at a bar after trying to get this land that he wants to develop from this guy, and he meets a girl at the bar, and they end up having a crazy night of sex, and they don't exchange names or information. Then he about 6 months later, he goes down to downtown where this plot of land is at that he wants, and it has like a community center. It's literally in the middle of the city, and he ends up running into Gia, who is the person that he had the one night stand with. He finds out that she's a mom because there's like a whole group of like 10 kids around her, which he's getting the heebie-jeebies for them because there's germs everywhere. They all got dirty faces and dirty hands, and they want to touch them, and it's like a whole thing. When one of them calls her mom, so he knows that one of them is hers. He actually thinks all 10 of them belong to her, but she stands up and he sees the belly, and he freaks out. He decides that he is going to step up and be a father. As he's stepping up, he really is doing it just for Gia, but he's carrying the secret the whole time. So there you go.
I don't feel like there's anything left to read.
Yeah, that's seriously what happens in like the first 2 or 3 chapters at the most. Can you tell me what's your next book, please? Leave Reed alone.
Bless your heart.
Have the day you deserve.
That is really passive aggressive. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Anyway,
just stop.
Next up, I have a story about a girl who has a best friend that's really quite nice to her all the time. It doesn't yell at her in the airport.
I did not yell at you in the damn airport.
Tell that to your hostile retelling of the story.
Your hostile retelling of the story.
Okay.
Your next book, please.
Yes, my next book is called Love You Too by Stacey Travis.
Okay.
And this is about Beatrix, known as Trix. She is buying this house and living her life, even though I don't know why my watch just started talking. Did you?
I was like, what was that?
Okay.
Okay.
And she runs into Rin, who broke her heart 10 years ago when he went off to be a big hockey star. And hockey has basically been his life for the last 10 years. And he might be rethinking like some of those choices and where that's led him. And when Trix is like really quite like, she's not gotten over him, but she's also not really forgiven him either. So they end up having, is hate sex a thing? I think it's kind of like this, kind of like hate sex a little bit. And she ends up pregnant. And so people have decisions to make because, you know, hockey was life for him. And he is rethinking things, like his priorities.
Okay. Wait, you're quiet and you're looking at me and you're making me uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. I apparently am way more efficient at these recs than I am 1 minute book recs.
It's the timer. You're totally rebelling against the timer.
And then when we do this, you're the opposite. You do very good with the timer, which is really against your personality. And then when there is no timer, you are very
because I got to tell you all the good stuff. Yeah,
because you overshare
all the time. I am loved for my oversharing, though. Okay, so
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Okay, saying and implying are both the same thing. Okay, so my next rec, I'm going to tell you guys to definitely check trigger warnings before you go into this one, especially if you have triggers around pregnancy. And we are talking about a pregnancy book, but if you're picking up what I'm putting down, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that is, so the book that I have is Sin and Redemption by Cora Riley. This is like one of her newest releases. It came out a couple months ago, but this is about Sarah and Maximus or Max. Maximus is the daughter or the son to Growl from the original Born in Blood Mafia series. And then Sarah is, I don't remember whose kid she is. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter. Just that Max is Growl's kid. That's what I remember. But anyhow, they are kidnapped together by the Russians and held hostage. So she's basically, he was protecting her one day. We had to bring her home, and her father and her dad knew what was going to happen, or they knew that he was bringing her home and that it was okay. She's already engaged to somebody else at this point. She has her marriage arranged already, and they get kidnapped by these Russian dudes. And when they're kidnapped by the Russian dudes, they force them to have sex while they record it so they can send it to the parents of Sarah so that they will take the situation seriously. So they hold them hostage, they force them to have sex. Well, the video gets sent to the parents. Because of that, her marriage gets broken off. And then come to find out that they're going to force her to marry Max because there's a baby that comes from that situation. But there's also a lot of heartbreak that comes from that situation. So I loved it. It was so good. Audio's coming for it. We don't have a date yet, but I know the audio has been done already for it. And I do know who did the audio, but I can't say yet.
My next book is Wicked Love by Willow Astor. This is one of my top reads of April. I loved it so much. We have Poppy and Bowie. Bowie is a single dad to his daughter. What was her name? Becca. And Becca has Down syndrome, and she is like his main focus. This is all he cares about is his daughter and hockey. He is a professional hockey player, and he cares about his teammates, but he has no time for dating or anything else in his life. And Becca goes to a special school where Poppy works, and Poppy and Becca really hit it off, and Becca just adores Poppy, and Poppy adores her. And Poppy ends up kind of becoming friends with some of the other teammates, wives and girlfriends. And so she ends up at a wedding that Bowie is also at. And they start talking, and they end up having kind of a one-night stand. And Poppy ends up pregnant. I love this one so much. It is so good. I love the characters, and if you listen to the audio, it is done by Samantha Brentmore and J.F. Harding, but they also have Lily D. Moore, who voices Becca, which I thought was just really quite cool.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the next book I have is another Devaney Perry. Apparently she does this well, and I didn't even realize it when I was flagging these books that I had.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
You read Devaney Perry all the time, and every single time someone is pregnant.
No, not every single time. Once in a while.
Name 4 Devaney Perry books you've read where nobody's been pregnant.
Both of the Mason Jar series. The first book in the Lark Cove series, the one where they got married in Vegas, the 4 Clover, whatever the fudge
And there's
is
no
called.
pregnancy at all.
Maybe in the epilogue or something, but not in the. They all have pregnancy in the epilogue. That's what reading romance is about. Okay. So this book is Tragic by Devaney Perry. This one is actually pretty emotional. This is about Piper and Kane. So this is the 3rd book in the Lark Cove series. I read the first book years ago, and so I didn't know if I'd remember everything, and you don't need to read this. You can read it as a standalone. But Piper is just coming off of a divorce. She has moved away from, I think her husband and her lived in New York, and now she has moved to Montana. Her boss works in Montana, lives in Montana, which is why she's moving there. And she buys this house out in the middle of nowhere, and there's only one neighbor next to her. And so she decides that she's going to remodel this home, and she's going to stay in the Airstream and her friend's Airstream, and she's going to remodel this home next to this guy. So the guy who lives next door to her is Kane, and he pretty tragically lost some very important people to him at the beginning of this book. And then we see him now, it's been like 3 years later. He is gruff, he is grumpy, he wants to be left alone, he doesn't want anything to do with this new neighbor. But they have a love-hate relationship going on. Like, they really hate each other. He's very, very grumpy to her, but they still bang it out because why wouldn't you? And Piper believes she can't get pregnant. She'd seen a specialist who told her that she couldn't get pregnant. So when she does get pregnant, she's excited and happy and a little scared, but Kane is petrified and does not take the news very well. So there you go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You are so welcome.
Okay.
Okay.
My next one is called Tease by Melanie Harlow. Gianni. Does that sound like a name?
Yes.
For a man?
Yes.
So we have Ellie and Gianni, and they have been childhood friends, and they're adults now, and Ellie doesn't really care for him anymore. He's a big time celebrity chef, and she's just not feeling his attitude and stuff. And he is back in their hometown. He's working as a chef temporarily. There's reasons he's back, but it's all on the down low, so she's not aware. And so she knows he's back just temporarily. She has this important event to go and talk about wine to these potential clients. And he decides to kind of intervene and be like, no, the weather's really bad. Your car's not going to make it. Let me drive you. And he kind of becomes not aggressive, like mean or anything, but he pretty much kind of backs her into a corner where she eventually agrees to let him drive her to this. And she goes, and they end up getting snowed in. And so what better way to spend your time when you're snowed into a hotel? And it's going to turn out that this leads to her getting pregnant. And so we have our surprise baby. But there's also a few secrets that he is keeping. A little bit about how they got snowed in and such things. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So for my next book, it was one that I really loved in the month of April. It was one of my top books in the month of April.
Is this your last one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So that is Hunger in His Blood by Zoe Draven. I loved this one. I don't know that you have to read the series in order because this is the 3rd book in her Brides of the Kyler series. I think if you've read parts of the first one, I still think you would figure everything out that you need to know for this one. But this is about Irina and Calder. So Irina is a housekeeper in the keep, Calder's keep. He is like the leader of this section of the world. And she has worked for him for 2 years, but she's also harbored quite the crush on him for 2 years. She is human. He is Kyler. They're kind of like a vampire race. They do drink blood, but they also have a blood mate. So somebody whose blood is absolutely perfect for them. And then they can't be away from that person when they figure out who that is. Now, Irina has been wearing this perfume, so he can't smell her blood. He can't stand the smell of the perfume either. But one day she cuts herself accidentally on a vase, and he smells her blood because he's in the room with her, and he realizes immediately that she is his blood mate. And so that leads them into developing this contract where she agrees to give him blood, but nothing further is supposed to happen. That only lasts for so long because he's got some issues he needs to work out. The previous lord of the manor before him did something with the maid and literally lost everything, and so he doesn't want to be that person. But we don't stick with that whole contract thing, which then leads to a baby situation, which also leads to a lot of heartbreak and a lot of other stuff. Different heartbreak from the other book, but a lot of angst, a lot of groveling, lots of fun. I don't know why you're laughing.
I just don't get it. I'm sorry.
I don't get your choices either, but that's okay.
My choices are really storable.
They all sound like the same book to me. They're all the same book. See? It's okay. That's why there's two of us. Thank God.
Well, that's kind of how the alien books sound.
See?
There's another alien. He,
but
and I
this one's
quote, clubbed her over the head and drug her back.
Love it when they do that. I mean, don't give her a really bad concussion. But,
There's this blue ribbed thing.
Yeah, there is. Far more believable than all 5 of the brothers in the same family having the giant schlong, okay?
What book series is that?
I don't know, but let's go find one. Okay, what do you
got?
It's
believable because that's probably genetics.
Well, but it's not just the 5 brothers, it's also the friend and the friend's brother and the friend's cousin that are a part of the small town too. If that's the case, we need a vacation in that town. Something's in the water.
We are married.
What?
We are married. What do you mean, what?
Okay, what's your last rec before I dig a hole here?
You've been digging for a while. Okay.
Okay.
Mother Maker by Jenny Barra. And just to prove to you that this is different, he plays baseball.
Oh, yeah, because that hasn't happened before.
Oh, well, this is a very unique plot, though, because there are 4 moms all living in a brownstone together with their 7 children and some pet raccoons. So there. Not going to find that somewhere else. This is the second book in the Mom-Com series. I am enjoying the series, but you can definitely read these as standalones. So Dylan is our heroine, or if you've read the first book, Dippy Doo, because that's how Beck refers to her as. And she is more of our free-spirited mom who's just kind of letting the universe guide her through life. And she goes out one night to kind of have through the window, because that's how she comes and goes from the house. She goes out one night to kind of just get a break from everything. And she ends up getting drunk and sleeps with a hot baseball player named Courtney. Courtney plays for the same team that Beck is in charge of, or boss man. And he finds out that Dylan is pregnant. He confronts Courtney and kind of forces him to step up. But Courtney would have anyways, but he kind of forces his hand a little bit. So Courtney ends up convincing them to let him move into the brownstone so that he can be an active part of the pregnancy and the baby's life as much as possible. Since he's going to be traveling a lot for baseball, if they live together, it makes more sense. And because the house is already really crowded, there's nowhere for him to go but Dylan's bed.
Courtney's a boy?
Yes, and Dylan is the girl. It throws me off. I get that there are people with names like this in real life, but it really confuses me as a reader.
I get like Courtney, you'd call him Court, I guess, but
they do.
Yeah. That would throw me off a little bit too.
Yeah.
I get Dylan as a girl. I do, but yeah. I do like the name Court though. Not Courtney. Anyhow, cool.
Okay.
All right. So there you guys got 10
Surprise!
Baby romances. We didn't even practice that.
Don't give away our secrets.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our surprise baby Rex and you have some to go read now. Let
Yeah.
us know what you think in the comments. Are these books that you enjoy reading? Do you prefer when there's an alien involved? Let us know all the things. And please hit that subscribe button and like our videos. It means a lot to us.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and usually Wednesdays for new videos from us.
Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next video.